All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's hour number 2 starting right now. You know, normally we do not have guests right off the top of the show, but when a big man like Glenn Jacobs walks in your studio, you let him sit down and do whatever he wants to do. And we got to get some new chairs for these big people in here, or for all of the people in here. Glenn has officially he's officially broken the guest chair. Although I think the guest chair was kind of broken before Glenn stepped into our studio. One way or the other, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. Hey, Jackson.
Yes.
You excited about Glenn, you know? Had you ever met Glenn?
Yeah, last time he came in studio.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. You like his Tesla?
That thing is sick.
That's pretty good, huh? Ken Weaver's back in the news closet. He's busy gathering headlines as we speak, which is yeoman's work, as they say, particularly when the intraweb is down. Although I think the intraweb is back up, fellas, at least for the moment.
I got to get me some of that intraweb.
You got to get you some of that intraweb. We're mass communicating.
Yes, sir.
I tell you what.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wait,
And the TV's back.
You dumb wit with the incumbency. Anyway. 615-737-9986. Speaking of the television, I want to try to do this, Jackson, because Donald Trump is currently speaking to reporters as we speak at the White House. And why don't we just see what our 47th President of the United States of America has to say about things?
It's never worked once, so it's not going to work now either.
On your ballroom, Mr. President, you're building your ballroom right now. They're also building the Obama Presidential Library. I'm wondering if you've seen. Have you seen pictures of the architecture, and what do you think of it?
It's not too pretty. No, but it's closed. It's stopped. They ran out of money. I mean, he's building a library / museum. You know, you call it some museum, and usually they call it library and museum. That's the official name. And they're stuck. And he wanted only women and DEI to build it. Well, that's what they got. And the construction workers are standing out there and saying, we want to be able to build it. You know, I built a great building in Chicago, as you know, a big, beautiful building, one of the tallest buildings in the country. And we got it built very quickly, very well. And we used the construction workers of Chicago. They're great workers. They're great construction people. And I suggested he get them involved. But they're hundreds of millions of dollars over budget, and I think it stopped. I'm reading these terrible stories, but that's the way our country was run under President Obama too. Nobody knew it.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Russia remains China's top crude oil supplier in September. Are you considering tariffs on China?
Well, I mean, you read the same papers as I do, but I don't have to read the papers because I'm the one. Right now, as of November 1st, China will have about 155% tariff put on it. And I don't think it's sustainable for them, so I want to be nice to China. But China's been very rough with us over the years because we had presidents that weren't smart from a business standpoint. Some were good politicians, some weren't even good politicians, but they allowed China to take advantage of us, and every other country to take advantage of us. If you see, I made a deal with the European Union. I made a deal with Japan, with South Korea. I made a lot of these deals that are great deals, and I was able to do it. It's really national security. I was able to do it because of tariffs. And we're getting hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars paid into the United States. We're a very rich country again. We'll start paying off debt. We'll do a lot of things. We'll probably make a distribution out of some of the tariff money. I think we're going to make a distribution over the next fairly short period of time to the people, because we took in so much money from the tariffs. Just European Union, $650 billion. Japan, $550 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. That's even a lot of money for you guys, right? That's not bad, right? But no, we're taking in a lot of money, and it keeps people like this here, because that's why they're coming in. I mean, you wouldn't be, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, but generally they won't be coming in if it weren't for tariffs. They come in here, and they don't have to pay the tariff. If they do it outside, they pay a lot of money, a lot of tariffs. The money comes to us. And in order not to pay the tariff, they come and they build here. That's why we have more plants under construction than we've ever had in the history of our country. And you wouldn't think it's complicated, but you would have thought somebody would have done this a long time ago, sitting in this beautiful seat behind what's called the Resolute desk. You know that, right? This is a very famous. This is even more famous than any of your desks. But your desks are good. Your desks are very good.
Gobble, 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 gobble. I always like the gaggle.
Because the New York Times is reporting that your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you. Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity, any money. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slobodanopoulos had to pay us a lot of money.
Slobodanopoulos?
They paid me a lot of money because what they did was wrong. And, you know, when somebody does what's wrong. Now, with the country, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the decision, right? And, you know, that decision would have to go across my desk. And it's awfully strange to make a decision where I'm paying myself. In other words, did you ever have one of those cases where you have to decide how much you're paying yourself in damages? But I was damaged very greatly, and any money that I would get, I would give to charity.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the Democrat Party now more Zohran Mamdani's party than it is even Leader Schumer's or Leader
Probably
Jeffries?
is, yeah. Look, I mean, maybe he'll run for president in 4 years. You have a communist president. That would be interesting, right? I don't see it happening. You know, I've always said you will never.
Have a communist president. That'd be interesting.
Socialism. You will never see a socialist so and so. And I was right. I say it in speeches. We will not have socialism in our country. And I was right. Communism, yes, but socialism. In other words, they skipped socialism and they went down to communism. No, he's a communist, and he's going to be maybe the mayor of New York. I don't know. Maybe, you know, polls are wrong, but these polls seem to be pretty consistent. But he would be, I would say he would be the leader of the party. It's not Schumer. Schumer's shot. He's shot. This poor guy feels sorry.
Schumer's shot.
For a long time,
He's shot. Oh, they'll get him for saying that, by the way.
Yes, they will.
Radical lunatics. And I think Chuck Schumer is, he's gonzo. I really do. I think he's probably not going to run. It shows
I'm going to keep it for one more question.
This is hard. You know, he wants to meet with me. It's sort of hard to meet with a guy after I make a statement like that, but I'm just giving the facts. I think Chuck is probably finished. I know some people, Democrats, that would be good. Some good politicians and some, you know, reasonable people. But I understand that they would not have a chance of, you know, getting even the.
If y'all are watching on Super Talk TV, does that not look like a big hookah in front of Trump on the television?
I really believe they're low IQ people. They're stupid people. And they seem to be.
I'll tell you what it is in a minute if you're watching.
So we'll see what happens. Look, the Republicans are strong. We have great leadership. We're very strong in every way, and we're going to keep it that way. But we are really a strong party. You know, our party's grown magnificently. We've gotten, look at all the union votes I got. Nobody thought that was ever possible. Look at the election where I won popular. I won everything. I won all 7 swing states. If you win 3 or 4 swing states, you're doing great. I won all 7 by a lot. And I think the best thing when you look at districts, 2,000.
All right, we're talking about no offense to the President of the United States, but we're tilling through the results of the 2024 election. We'll continue to monitor that as he holds a court with assembled reporters at the White House. It was described as a celebration of, and I don't understand. Trump is taking questions during the Diwali celebration in the White House, and I didn't know what that was, and I had to look it up. Do you know what that is? I didn't know what that was.
How do you spell it?
Diwali.
I'll look it up, Brother Murphy.
No, I got it. I got it right here, Ken. I'm on top of this. It is also called Deepavala.
Oh.
Or, in that case, yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, it is a Hindu festival of lights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Variations celebrated in other Indian religions, such as Jainism or Sikhism. It symbolizes the spiritual victory of Dharma over Adharma, light over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance. Diwali is celebrated during the Hindu luna-solar months of Ashvin and Kartika, sometime between mid-September and mid-November. Look, I'm just a simple farm boy born in Thompson, Georgia, Thomson. That sounds like a lot of gobbledygook to me, but you know what? More power to them. We believe in a country that's big enough where you get to celebrate any religion of your choosing, and so the President of the United States is celebrating it in the White House in that spirit. And I saw that Kash Patel was there, and I want to say Kash Patel's Hindu. Wasn't Patel the one that said that he'd see Charlie Kirk at Valhalla, which was odd, but, is what it is. All right, 17 minutes after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll welcome the newest member of the library board out of Sumner County. That would be Riley Gaines. She's going to stop by the show and talk to us not just about that, but more importantly, how she is doing. She is a brand new mama. Just having a baby earlier this month, and congratulations to she and her husband. They got a beautiful new baby girl, and we'll find out all about that and her decision to take part on the library board in Sumner County. A lot of frustrated people in Sumner County because it doesn't feel like the library board is reflective of the people that it represents. But frankly, folks, we're getting back to it if we're getting Riley Gaines on the library board. So we'll discuss that coming up in just several minutes as well. In the meantime, the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, has upped the ante. I meant to get to this yesterday, but he's upped the ante. He's called for a general strike across the United States of America. So he wants, workers of the world to unite and to strike. We will discuss this coming up in just a couple of minutes. And another story that I did not get to from yesterday, but there's a follow-up on this. The Secret Service discovered what they refer to as a hunting stand in direct line where Air Force One parks, and the president was to exit Air Force One in Palm Beach, at the Palm Beach Airport. You may have heard a little about this. We'll break it down for you in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 19 after 4, back after this. Hey! Hi! Hello! I'm sorry, I was communing with my stablemates out in the hallway, having a good time, having a little... too much fun, as they say. Too much fun, what's that mean? That's like too much money. There's no such thing. I was having a good time. I was talking to our brother station over there at the Zone 1. Everybody was I don't know what Nashville's doing right now because everybody that you listen to on the radio in the afternoon was just out in the hall.
That is true.
Just chilling. Speaking of chilling, I guess we're just going to chill on the government shutdown as it stands. The Democrats want to shut down because they think eventually the tides will turn. They don't care about the chaos, by the way. I should note. For better or worse, and frankly, I think oftentimes the GOP gives up too much. The Republican Party, they've already offered a CR, which I don't like the CR. I don't want a CR to begin with. I want you to do your job and to pass 12 separate appropriation bills. But I'm willing to accept the idea, just like I was willing to accept the big, beautiful bill. Now, look, I don't get to vote on it. I would not have voted for it because I don't think it went far enough in cutting into what I consider to be the greatest existential crisis that the United States of America faces, and that is our $8 trillion now national debt, growing every single day, growing every single moment, growing every single second. We overspend. And anytime you talk about cutting, the Dems howl, how can you do that? People are going to die. Why do they do that? Well, A, they don't really care whether people die or not. I can promise you that. B, they want power and control, and they believe that they can accomplish their goals by creating and sowing the seeds of chaos across the United States of America. And what better than an economic crisis to do just that? You want to talk about nirvana for Democrats. Start defaulting on our national debt. It gives them an excuse to look. I mean, they're the overspenders, right? I mean, well, the Republicans are too. Don't get me wrong. There are no heroes currently in Washington, D.C. There just aren't. There are better people than others. I mean, some are better than others. You can certainly grade them on a curved scale. But there are no heroes. They're overspending by how much money? And say what you will. I mean, I love the man that is now the 47th president of the United States, that was the 45th president of the United States of America. But I'll tell you this, he was no conservative when it came to spending as 45. Now, a lot of that had to do with the last year and a half of his time in office and the COVID pandemic created by the Chinese in a lab. Some would suggest directly in relation to an effort to stop his reelection opportunities, and it worked if that was the purpose. But our overspending is going to be the ruination of our economy. And if we allow that to happen, I promise you the Democrats are going to pop their little heads up and say, we told y'all. We told you the free market wouldn't work. We told you capitalism wasn't the answer. Now let us swoop in and take over and save the day by what? Taking over the means of production. That is what? That is socialism by definition. And they'll start with what they call the people's resources. We've seen this script historically in the past. They start with things like fossil fuel energy or natural gas energy. They'll move on to resources that they consider to be of a finite nature, like timber-based resources, or even eventually in places like Venezuela, they got to the diamond mines and they said, oh, no, these are the people's diamonds. These aren't this company's diamonds. We're taking over those diamonds too. And if they get any pushback whatsoever, they'll take over the damn media because they will call the media, I'm going to say it now, the enemy of the state. Now, Donald Trump has done such, but Donald Trump is promoting the concepts of free market and capitalism. Now, Scott writes in, and he's correct. Today, it's all about SNAP benefits. SNAP benefits. And we're going to run out on Friday, and people are going to starve to death. That is the next stage in the media's presentation of what's going on. Here's the funny thing. The Democrats control all of this. The Democrats could have their SNAP benefits restored if they wanted, and I wonder if the media is going to report that. I wonder if the media is going, and I'll get to your second question there, Scott, about socialism and the Second Amendment. Let me tell you about SNAP benefit. Does anyone else consider it to be a crying damn shame that 42 million American households are on SNAP? Now, I understand, and I always try to play the caveat that I get it, that bad things happen to good people. And I understand if you are one of those exceptions to the rule that bad things happen to good people. And that good people can find themselves in a negative situation and they're looking for some sort of social safety net. Might I suggest to you that the better option than going to the federal government would be to go to your local food bank, to go to your local church, to go to a local community charity? If you find yourself in that bad way, there are resources for you of a charitable nature. Sadly, we don't do that. We stick our hand out and the government fills our hand with what? Well, they're not food stamps anymore. It's an EBT card, so nobody is the wiser. Unfortunately, we have a lot of Americans, millions of Americans, who don't work to get off SNAP. They have come to expect it. Tell me I'm wrong. Now, you can accuse me of being hard-hearted all you want, and I'll take that. But I'm not wrong. There are way too many able-bodied people getting SNAP. Way too many able-bodied people that expect that they budget it. They budget it. If you are working and you work 40 hours a week, for example, and I'm not here to offend anyone, although I do it all the time, and that's on you, it's not on me. But if you're working and you work 40 hours a week and you're budgeting SNAP into your monthly budget, may I suggest you are doing it wrong? These should be temporary social safety nets designed to protect people from going hungry. And once you find yourself in a better way or back on your feet, oh, by the way, why are you only working 40 hours a week if you're budgeting a federal government program that the rest of us are paying for? Shouldn't be that way. It's a crying damn shame we got over 42. I think it's 42 million Americans, not households. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember if it's Americans or households. One way or the other, it's time for the news. Riley Gaines coming up afterwards. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friend. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy show in progress. It's almost 20 till. It's about 21 till 5 o'clock on Super Talk. We've been following a story out of Sumner County that is gaining some more attention based on some things that happened last night and some expected activity today with regard to some of the votes that might be going down a little bit later on today. But I want to focus on the library board for just a moment. We mentioned that this past August, the Sumner County Library Board rejected a ban on transgender-themed books. This is after it popped its head up in May when the board tabled a proposal to remove those same books. Now, it's my understanding that there's been a missing member of the board for some time, but I don't want to tell you all about this because why would I when I have a newly appointed board member on the line to discuss it with you? Conservative activist she is, of course, a former collegiate swimmer. You know her as that. You see her on Fox News all the time. She is a Tennessean through and through. And most importantly, for our purposes here today, she is a brand new mama. Riley Gaines is joining us on the show. Hey, Riley, how are you?
Oh, man, I am fantastic. It brings such a smile to my face. It's still kind of new hearing the word, myself described as a mom, but she's 3 weeks old, and it has just been the best past 3 weeks imaginable. So thank you. And, of course, the news last night, it's like 12:30 in the morning, and I found out I was appointed to the Sumner County Library Board, which, of course, this is the community I grew up in. It is the community we're going to raise our daughter in, and so could not be more excited about that.
Well, first and foremost, kudos and congratulations to you and your husband. It's just wonderful to hear that you're doing okay, baby's doing okay, everybody's A-okay?
Everyone is doing fantastic.
Good.
Motherhood has been awesome. I truthfully think that this is my purpose, being a mom.
Oh, that's so good. And as a new mama, you're now a member of the library board, so you can help other mamas out in Sumner County kind of protect their kids from some materials that I don't think Sumner County mamas and daddies want their kids seeing. But for some reason, the school board has trouble figuring this out. Can you kind of walk us how we got to last night and what is going on in Sumner County that they can't keep these things out of the library?
Man, isn't it amazing? I think a lot of this has been exposed on a national level. You have awesome people out there on especially social accounts like Libs of TikTok who are exposing a lot of these radical activists, I think that's the best word for it, who have been placed in these powerful positions, who are undermining the work that President Trump has been doing, and here in this state that our wonderful governor and legislature down at the state capitol has been doing. But I think people don't believe it's happening right here. It's not happening in our backyard. We're immune to this stuff. That's truthfully, Matt, that's how naive I was. I didn't think it was happening here. No way. This is a conservative part of Tennessee. We have all Republicans on the board, whatever it is. Oh my gosh, you would be so wrong and so ill-informed to believe that having an R by your name actually means that you stand for the values that I know you and myself and majority of parents, especially across Sumner County, stand for. As we've talked about, President Trump has done phenomenal work for the nation at the federal level. It has transcended. Tennessee has passed laws ultimately preventing taxpayers from funding this woke ideology in any sort of educational setting, including a library setting, any sort of government affiliation. But what we have found out is our county here, Sumner County, is not abiding by state and federal law. And so doing everything we can now that it's been brought to my attention, again, the attention of people all across the county, all across the state, to make sure that we are following President Trump's orders, Governor Lee's orders here in this state.
So the backstory, as I understand it, and tell me if I've got it right, is that it's a 9-member board, and there's been one vacancy within the board for a good amount of time, and that some of the, let's just say, left of center members of the board did not want to fill that vacancy because it gave them the opportunity to prevent doing what a majority of the board, and I think a majority of the people in Sumner County wanted to do, and that is eliminate these transgender books. Nobody's banning books. You can go and you can buy this book if you till your heart's desire out in a format like Amazon or in a bookstore or whatever. What we're saying is that these are inappropriate materials for children to have in the library system, and yet they refuse to appoint someone to the board as a result of their desire to keep these books in the libraries. Do I have this right?
That's right. I'll give you kind of a brief background as I understand it. There are currently 9 positions, as you said, on the board. 1 seat has been empty for several months. The chairwoman, Joanna Daniels, who has been awesome, by the way, she has been someone who has been fantastic for me to learn from. Just a phenomenal advocate for parents and for truth and for God and for common sense, right? So she's been fantastic. But the commission and the committee on committees have refused to fill that vacant seat. So there are essentially 8 people as it stood before last night. 4 conservatives, true conservatives, and 4, again, some of them with an R by their name, but I mean, these people aren't conservative. They're either liberal Democrat or, again, total rhinos who are just either not concerned or actually are proponents of the transgender ideology being in these settings. They have learned that if they show up to these meetings, they're going to be forced to vote either for or against a policy that would remove this trans ideology from children's sections, again, following state and federal law. They don't want to go on record for voting no. It would ruin their reputation, as you could imagine, again, being here in a conservative part of Tennessee. So they don't show up to meetings, and they have been waiting until Chairwoman Daniels' term is up in November to reduce the number on the board to 7, which would ultimately give the non-conservative members the majority, which is, of course, what they want, so they can get their narrative, their agenda through without any sort of resistance. But as of last night, so long as everyone keeps a good head on their shoulders who has one now, hopefully we can prevent that from happening.
So, I mean, this has got to be exciting. How did you find out, and what was the conversation like? I mean, did you have conversations with Jeremy Mansfield before time? Did he ask you if this is something that you would be interested in? I mean, I'm imagining that there were some questions asked of you prior to your name coming up as the nominee.
Well, really what was brought to my attention this past week was more so the school board and what's going on there. Number one is it pertained to Charlie Kirk Day. Of course, October 14th was Charlie Kirk's birthday.
Right.
I don't imagine I have to remind everyone, but Charlie Kirk was just recently politically assassinated. He is one of the best and most effective communicators and mobilizers, especially of the younger generation in modern history for sure. Was assassinated. They voted here to honor Charlie Kirk by having Charlie Kirk Day. Some pushback from members of the community, and we saw school board members who effectively, recanted from their position, saying they regretted voting to have a Charlie Kirk Day. So that, number one. And number two, it's gotten, a lot of attention across the state and across the Middle Tennessee for sure, of changing Christmas break to winter break.
Oh dear.
Exactly. I mean, it's just silly, nonsensical stuff. And it infringes upon the values that so many people and parents especially stand for here in this area. So that's what caught my attention of what's going on here in the county. And from there, you learn and you learn and you learn. And so the Freedom Caucus here and the Constitutional Republicans here have been just really fantastic in opening my eyes and letting me know what's going on. And now, again, I have vested interest. I have a daughter. Like, this is where I want her to grow up. I want her to learn, and I want the best for her. Forget me, forget any sort of it's not about me. It's about the future my kids are going to have. And so to now be a part of impact and having change, affecting change, I mean, there's nothing more you could ask for.
You mentioned the Christmas break, winter break thing, and we're going to talk about that in the 5 o'clock hour. It's just absurd. I don't understand what people don't understand about you being allowed to celebrate anything you want to celebrate or not celebrate anything you want to celebrate, but trying to ignore the fact that we take a break over the holiday season to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know who that would offend anyway, but this idea that we're worried about offending people by saying Christmas in a nation full of Christian people, I just don't know what planet we're living on sometimes, Riley.
No, you and me both. And it is so true. Like, I think people forget, like, this was a nation who at one point proudly stood by "In God We Trust," one nation under God.
Right.
But we have fallen far, far from that. And we see that, I mean, all 50 states. And it breaks my heart. And I think the current state that we're in now is a clear indicator of it.
So what's the process? So are you like officially on the board now that you've been named? Do you have is there a swearing in ceremony? How does that process work? And when will you first be seated? Because we're excited about the next opportunity for you guys to get to vote on banning some of these transgender type books from our school age children.
Look, as I understand it, I haven't yet been reached out to by any of the people who would actually let me know, really what's going on. But I think our next meeting is November 12th, as I've been told. And so, like, I'm fully there. I'm fully excited. And again, it's due time for just normal people. That's all I am. I'm a normal person who sees what's at stake, who sees the threat and the risk of what happens if we don't use our voice, whether it's this issue or I mean, how I have the platform that I have now. It is up to us. It's up to everyday common sense Americans, and in this case, Tennesseans, to do what we can to correct course for our children.
Well spoken.
So I believe November 12th is the next step. And again, just grateful for the Sumner County Constitutional Republicans. They've been awesome. Tim Jones has been great. Joanne Daniels has been awesome. So wonderful people in my corner and in the corner of concerned parents.
Well, thank you so much for offering yourself up for service to your community. I mean, obviously, you're known nationally, internationally as a voice of reason in the conservative movement, particularly the young conservative movement. And so I appreciate the fact that you're keeping your roots in Sumner County and you're making sure that you take care of your home base, as well as helping people understand what the youth movement and conservatism is all about. But I do want to ask you one final question because you mentioned Charlie, and you and I have not had a chance to talk since that awful, awful day. And you were there. I mean, you were in the front line. You sat in that seat next to Charlie. I've seen so many videos of you taking the questions from the various people in the audience, and I'm just curious how that affected you, and what we can do to continue to honor the legacy of Charlie in the way that you did so while he was living. Now that he has passed on and gone to his reward, what can we do?
Honestly, Matt, in answering how it's affected me, like, truthfully, I still feel in total disbelief by it. Disbelief that he's gone, disbelief that something this horrific and tragic could happen in our country. Like shock and disbelief, of course, gone through the emotions of sadness and anger and rage, honestly. But I think coupled with the disbelief at this point, I feel hopeful and I feel inspired. We have seen, I'm an employee with Turning Point USA, and I can tell you the numbers that we've seen internally with the organization. I mean, hundreds of thousands of high school, college age kids inquiring about how to get involved, people buying Bibles, people going to church for the first time, sometimes in their life. So to see the effect that Charlie Kirk had, I think we should all aspire for our deaths, whether premature or not, to have the same effect that his did. That is how you know you lived a fruitful and good life, and Charlie Kirk did. And so I feel hopeful, I feel inspired, and what we can do, man, we do exactly what Charlie Kirk did best, which is civil discourse, talk to each other, engage in conversations with people you might not you might not agree with, and of course do it respectfully, listen to one another. I think the motto, the mantra of "prove me wrong," it's so powerful. They couldn't do it, so what do? They kill him. It is total disbelief by it still. It's
so well spoken, Riley. God bless you. Hug the little baby for us, and we appreciate you spending some time with us. Congratulations again on being a new mama. Congratulations on being a new Sumner County board member, and as always, we look forward to the next conversation.
You're the best, Matt. Thank you.
Take care. All right, so that's Riley Gaines. What a great conversation. What a great answer to that question, that you go through all of those emotions. And she was close to Charlie. I mean, obviously, I did not realize that she was an employee of Turning Point, but I knew that she had been on some of these junkets, that she had sat in a chair right next to Charlie Kirk, answering the questions alongside Charlie. And And it has to hit a little closer to her what happened, considering that she has been in that seat. And what a great answer to the question asked. It's 54 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back after this.